Giving me an up-close and personal view. And welcome back. You're watching the Joanne Powell Show. I am Joanne. We're coming to you from the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM.TV, Hollywood. For those that are tuning in on the Go Harrison Show, we'd like to welcome you as well. We are talking about President Trump's executive order. Last week he did basically putting a crackdown on immigration, whether you think it's a crackdown on immigration, a ban on travel, a Muslim ban, all that's kind of lumped into one big ball. The bottom line is if you are from 7 countries, predominantly Muslim nations, you're not able to come into the United States right now as a result of this executive order. There have been the ACLU basically filed a halt with a judge, U.S. judge, who basically halted that. So some of the hundreds of people who were here and detained were actually released so they could sort through all the specifics that's going on. And those 7 countries are Iraq, Iran, Syria, Somalia, Libya, Sudan, and Yemen, because these countries are considered to be beds of terrorism. Joining me now are immigration attorneys who are going to be talking about this subject. The farthest from me is attorney Lisa Ramirez, who is a partner at the U.S. Immigration Law Group out of Orange County in Santa Ana. And seated next to me is Roger Ponce with the Ponce Law Group in Los Angeles. I'd like to thank both of you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
What is your reaction when you saw what was going on? I mean, being immigration attorneys and you see something like this that happens, what is your reaction? We can start with you, Lisa.
Well, I think initially when we heard about the first 2 executive orders that were issued, I was concerned. And I think what was difficult for me as a practitioner is to really be able to separate the hype that we often get from the media and really get to the heart of it. So it wasn't until I actually sat down and read the executive orders to understand what they actually said versus what the media was portraying about what they said. On the one hand, I think the one executive order with regards to the enforcement priorities and, focusing on, removing or deporting individuals with criminal convictions, things of that nature, the 287G, the cooperation between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement, those weren't things that were really new. Right. So I felt that we were moving back in time, quite honestly, going back to perhaps the Bush era, although some of those priorities were carried through the Obama administration. So I thought, well, there's not really a whole lot of reason to panic. People need to be educated, they need to be informed, they need to be equipped, but we're kind of just moving back in time. With regards to the border security, talking about the wall, talking about how asylum seekers were going to be detained, that was a whole new animal. And it really did concern me, not just as an attorney, but as a U.S. citizen. Because I do have a tremendous amount of appreciation for the rights in our Constitution. And when I then began to hear over the weekend about lawful permanent residents being kept from entering the United States, my immediate thought was, whoa, we are in a whole different time. This is no longer, okay, we're now going back to a prior, administration. This is something new and unheard of. And I really, really was praying that our judicial branch, our federal courts, and ultimately the Supreme Court, which is obviously another hot topic, is really going to be the ones, as well as Congress, to provide those checks and balances that we really need to make sure our executive, the president, is not overstepping his boundaries and creating laws that are unconstitutional.
Now, what are your thoughts?
I think when I first heard of the executive orders late last week and actually started reading through them, I was initially actually confused. It was extremely ambiguous, and if you really read through it, it gives you very little directions, which didn't surprise me then when I heard on Saturday all the confusion that was actually transpiring. However, once I actually saw the way it was being implemented on Saturday, quite frankly, it scared me. It scared me in the sense of, this is the America that we now live in terms of how a president can shove down orders and expect rank and file to understand what it is that is ultimately desired versus some of the nastiness that can come out of it. For those of us that deal with agencies like Custom Borders and Patrol, Immigration Custom and Enforcement, we already have, I'm sure, our own experiences of how secretive they can be and how often they can violate individuals' rights, whether they're citizens or non-citizens. And so to see this go down with so much secrecy and then see it implemented in the way that it happened, it was kind of Orwellian, to be quite frank with you.
I just know when I was watching what was going on Saturday night and woke up Sunday morning, it's just the whole concept that was very disturbing as an American citizen, watching how people were being treated. I don't think anybody disagrees with the concept of wanting to make sure you don't let terrorists in the country. We all agree that that's not a good idea. But the way that you do that, I think, is extremely important, especially for a nation with the foundation of what we, what we are founded on. And that is one thing I think the founding fathers with the three system, the judicial system, Congress and the presidency, for those checks and balances. That's important.
And I think it's, as I was seeing it implemented on Saturday, what was particularly shocking to me is the treatment of lawful permanent residents.
Yes.
And because, I understand the absolute need, like you were saying, to protect our borders. And I know that via the asylum process, certainly there can be abuses, and if not properly conducted, background checks can come, can not yield what information you need. But for lawful permanent residents, and now the way it's sort of being implemented throughout other components of Department of Homeland Security, with applications being held in abeyance, naturalization applications being held in abeyance, and those kinds of things, you're beginning to feel a far greater shock. That is not being discussed, because it's one thing to discuss asylees and refugees, and it's a whole nother to discuss lawful permanent residents and individuals. I'm sure you would agree, individuals who are now in the process of trying to become naturalized citizens. These are individuals that have already been vetted. So what exactly are we talking about?
Right. I think that's my biggest concern, honestly, right now. I mean, to use President Trump's word about vetting, I mean, the refugees that he's stopping from entering the United States have already been thoroughly vetted. They've gone through the checks and the investigations and everything with the UN, with our Office of Refugee Resettlement. I mean, these are not people who are just randomly selected and allowed into the United States. There's a pretty sophisticated process for refugees to be resettled into a third country. And then, with the lawful permanent residents, they too were vetted. They had to go through the background checks to be able to get their green cards. So these, again, are not people that we need to be concerned about. It's not a legitimate reason, in my opinion, for national security to prevent these individuals from entering the United States. Same thing with the naturalization. They've already gone through their background checks, their fingerprinting. These are people who have basically passed the test that our laws have stated are necessary to be able to naturalize, and yet they're being prevented from moving forward in the process, despite the fact that they've cleared the background checks, they've passed their exam, they speak English, and just simply need to take the oath, and he's keeping them from being able to naturalize or obtain green cards at this point, and it's unfortunate.
Yes, we're going to have to take a quick break. When we come back, we will continue the conversation. Don't go away. You're watching the Joanne Powell Show.
If you are an adult that began college and has not finished your college degree, let me put it to you straight. If your lifestyle and your standard of living is not becoming to you, then you should be coming to us, Oakwood University Elite Program. We are the fast, flexible adult degree completion program for the busy adult, like you.
Register today. Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098. It's time to leap.
For years, people have trusted McKay's Family Mortuary. We're part of your community and we'll take care of the details. We offer a variety of memorial services, including sea scattering and cremation. According to the Federal Trade Commission, the average funeral cost is over $9,000. We have complete funeral chapel service starting at only $31.25, casket included. Direct cremation starting at only $9.95. Visit one of our 5 locations and meet our caring and diverse staff. McKay Family Mortuary. Let us be the shoulder to lean on.
Thanks to Oakwood University and the LEAP program, I have now a college degree. So to the Spanish-speaking members of this community who feel that the LEAP program is something you should consider, I would say, ánimo a la universidad. Considere el programa LEAP de Oakwood University.
Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098.
Seize the Day Scuba for your best scuba experience above and below the sea. You'll find friendly staff, experienced PADI certified instructors, and state-of-the-art scuba equipment and gear. Join our dive club and we'll help you plan memorable scuba excursions. Immerse yourself. Seize the Day Scuba, serving Southern California. Call 949-220-0500 to create your scuba experience.
When I first started into the program, yes, I had doubts. I was really impressed with Oakwood University, with the faculty and the staff and the student body. It was a really good experience, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who was thinking about going back and finishing their degree.
Register today. Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098.